I'm so excited for this episode.
Why?
Dre Li, welcome to the show. Amazing tattoo artist, one of my favorite people on the entire planet. Excited to have you.
I'm excited to be here finally.
So tell me, I guess, when I think about your journey, and of course I know a little bit about your history, but were you always, like, do you feel like you were always drawn to artistic endeavors, or is this something that came to you later in life?
No, it's always been since I was a kid. From as early as I can remember, I was always drawing and painting and creating, and my mom really like encouraged me to do art. And I remember back in school, I was thinking about this actually. I don't remember if this was like a story that she told me or if I actually remember it happening, but I was maybe in kindergarten and there was always an art show. And I think I won like a third place ribbon or something. And my mom's like, why did she only get third place? And the principal or whoever was judging was just like, well, clearly you helped her. And she was like, I did not. Like, she did all this herself. And he was like, there's no way. So he went out and like got me like a first place ribbon or something like that. So, but yeah, I've always been drawing since I was little and haven't really stopped, honestly. So.
Yeah. And it sounds like it came natural to you. Was anyone else in your family creative like that?
Yeah, my mom's dad, I never met him, but he had his own sign painting business. So back when you would actually do everything by hand, and he also did like neons and stuff like that. And then I have two cousins on my dad's side who are artists as well, but no one like directly and like right around me that I was influenced by, I would say.
And how important do you feel that history of developing those hand skills and, doing all that drawing and painting when you're young? How important are those hand skills still for you now as a tattoo artist?
I guess it's important. It's like muscle memory. And like for me, every tattoo that I do, I draw beforehand and I kind of like lock it into my memory before I actually start tattooing. And that way I'm not getting caught off of being like, what is this? What goes where? Sort of thing, you know?
Just out of curiosity, like, why tattooing? So obviously, if it came natural to you as a kid, you could have pursued painting. You probably could have pursued sculpture, drawing, illustration, graphic design. You probably could have done any of these things, right? So what drew you into tattooing?
I mean, I've always had an interest in all types of art escapes, but I think when I first started learning about tattooing, I was also trying to learn about like UX and UI design, and I wanted to be like a website developer or something on the computer. I started doing some training for that, and I just hated being on the computer. Like I wanted more than that. I think when I got my first couple tattoos, I just was like, this is it. This has to be it. So I tattooed myself one day, and I was just blown. I was like, this is it.
What about that moment do you feel like made that shift for you or that connection?
It was just so interesting and cool. I'm just to watch like the needle go into the skin and to lay out the ink, and then it's just there, and the permanent part of it too. It's like there's no erasing or do-over, and I was just completely fascinated by it. And then to see all the different ways that it can be applied too. It's not just like, one way. It's the artistry has grown so much. So I don't know, it's just extremely fascinating to me back then, and then starting to learn more about the history of it and the meanings behind it and different cultures behind it. It's just, I don't know, I fell in love with it instantly.
Yeah. And tell me about your trajectory within the tattooing art form. So you have a traditional path, right? Like you did apprenticeships, learned the trade and all that stuff and kind of worked your way up.
Yeah. So when I tattooed myself, my friend let me do it on myself, and he's been tattooing for a while, and I'm just like, how do I do this? Like, how do I get into it? And he's like, well, you have to get an apprenticeship and you learn from other people and kind of go that way. So it took me about a year to find someone to say yes to me. But I had to like build up a portfolio and kind of go around. And like, this is before social media, really. Like there was like Facebook, and I think Instagram just kind of launched. And then I was actually at his shop that he worked at out in San Jose, California, that I kept trying to go to, and I would get tattooed by a tattooer there, and I was like, I want a tattoo, I want a tattoo, and they're just like, no, sort of thing. And then one day, um, he called me and he was like, yeah, you like the boss man wants to talk to you and give you a shot.
And did you show a portfolio around to like get into an apprenticeship?
Yes, it was more just like a sketchbook sort of thing, just to show
Mm.
that I knew some basics. But if I ever looked back at it, I think I'd be horrified and just be like, I can't believe I went around and showed people that and been like, yeah, hire me.
Yeah. I mean, I guess we all suffer from that same thing. Like if you look at your portfolio from the beginning,
I mean, still to this day.
every piece of video content I made back in my early career or photo I took, I'm sure I'd look back at it and be like, oh, that's terrible.
Like looking back on it, you're like, oh my God. But like at that moment, you're like, this is amazing. You know, like I never actually thought it was amazing. I'm like, yeah, it's not so bad, you know?
Yeah. I guess part of it too, though, is like in those early days, it's less about the work itself, because obviously you're not formally trained yet, you're not an expert yet, you haven't mastered the craft yet. It's more about initiative and ambition, you know? I think people are just looking to see like, do you have the drive that it takes to be committed?
Yeah. How bad you want it. Because I think you can teach anyone how to tattoo. It's not rocket science in any way, but it's like, how bad do you want this to be your career and your path? Like, how much do you respect the ones that came before you? At least for me, that was like kind of how it was. So they wanted to see me show up every day and do the things that didn't really apply to learning. You know, it's just like, how bad do you want this? So
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. You're almost like passing some sort of test or initial barrier.
yeah.
That's interesting. And then once you got into it, were you trained in a traditional style originally, like in the beginning, or did you start kind of early by just experimenting with different styles?
It was nice because there was 8 tattooers at this shop, so they all kinda did something different. So I did get to learn a lot about all different kinds of styles. Granted, like, it's nothing like we have today, but I was able to, like, learn the basics of, you know, American traditional, neo, watercolor, stuff like that, so that was nice. But, starting off, like, drawing, I had, like, very traditional practices, like, you know, cherry blossoms and roses and Sailor Jerry type kind of flash, and so I would just kinda learn from that.
It's interesting that you say it's nothing like we have today. So, from when you started to now, how do you feel like your own work, or even just in general the work, the tattoo work out there, has evolved?
When I started trying to find any other, like, just looking at tattoos that was in magazines, right? So, like, and that would be published a couple months prior, so you're just like, "Well, look at so and so just did this is nuts," right? And now we have Instagram, social media, whatever, that we can just see live stream, essentially. So there's that to get, like, different influence on there, but also all, like, the art kids with really great art backgrounds started applying their techniques into tattooing, and what was said that, like, can't be done in the skin is now being done, which is incredible. But, like, you see tattoos that look like painting and fine arts, and it blows my mind. So, um just pushing the needle a little bit further and seeing, like, how much you can get away with, and then it's all dependent on how things heal and how it will look in the future. And
Hmm.
but then there's also that too, where people don't care how it looks in the future, you know, like the person receiving it, maybe it was just like, I want this now and for today and whatever. And I think there's nothing wrong with that too.
Yeah, and then I think that's an interesting question or aspect of tattooing. Obviously, I'm someone who is compelled to get them, right? And most tattoo artists that I meet are also people who get tattooed on a regular basis, although there are some out there who don't really do it. Well, what do you think it is about wanting tattoos? Like, why do you think we desire to go through this somewhat painful process to tell this like visual story on our skin?
I think there's like a lot of different reasons to it. People feel more in their bodies, more
Mm.
like themselves. They want to be able to express themselves in ways that are, you know, beyond your clothing and what you can do. But it's kind of addictive as you can
Hmm.
can tell. But I think people do it for multiple reasons, and you don't have to have a reason. It doesn't need a meaning. Most people try to find meanings like initially when they get tattooed, and they're like, it has to do this and this and this. And it's like, great, but I don't know. At some point, you're just like, that looks cool, and I love it. I love how it makes me feel. I love the confidence boost I get from it. I get tattooed by people that I admire and respect, and just good people, and I like their art. So just a walking canvas at some point, but it can mean whatever you want it to mean.
Hmm. I get tattooed by people for that same reason, which is why I have a lot of your work on me.
I appreciate it.
I love your work, and I'm drawn to your work very heavily. It's the same for Jess, my wife, an executive producer who is also very drawn to your work. And I think because when you first see your floral in particular and how you have manipulated it sometimes to be almost like this illustrative, somewhat surreal, but also like hyper realistic. I don't know. It's a very hard style because it's very unique. So it's hard to describe to people. But when people see it, like everyone's like, "Oh my God, who did you get that from? Where did you? How did you?
That's sweet.
How did you develop that style?" So like, what's that process like for an artist?
I think for florals, it's just they they can represent things and people and places and time, and I love that about them. And they're also just beautiful. Like there's not a single person that's like, I don't like flowers. Like that'd be weird, right? And I love animals, so I think that just combining the two or separately has been great for me. But dogs are my favorite thing on this planet. And as far as like my style development goes, I'm always just try to make it look like what I think it's gonna look like or how it should. But it's kind of interesting. I don't really have the end project done in my head, like, before I start tattooing it. It's kinda like when I'm done with it. It's kinda hard to explain. As far as, like, the trippy part or whatever, like, people are calling it smoke, that was just done, like, through Procreate one day with, like, the liquify tool, and then it brought me back to the days where you would photocopy an image and you would, like, kinda move it along as you're, like, to give it kinda, like, that wavy pattern. So I just started doing that just to create, like, a different element to it. I think it's fun right now, and there's not really any rules, which has been more freeing for me in the process.
Yeah, I love you kind of use the term more freeing because I think that's fascinating in a sense that you can now take the art form and manipulate it. So not only are you doing it with the drawing, and you say it simply, right? Like, oh, I just use the liquify tool and Procreate to kind of pull things around, but you can't just pull something around and make it look good. I mean, compositionally, you're obviously pulling that little bit in certain ways that are going to fit with the composition, and you're also thinking about the body.
Right, right. Yeah, trying to just move along with the body with that, but I'll have different variations of it throughout the process, and sometimes I'll just draw it on and be like, "Yeah, yeah, this looks good here," and I'll just, like, pull the strip down or something. I don't know. I'm always just trying to do something different and better than the last tattoo I've done.
And what do you think it is that gives you that drive? Because you've kind of talked about for you personally, you've talked about like, you know, you're always looking to push the art form a little further. You're always looking to push your designs a little bit further, make them more sophisticated, maybe larger in scale at times. So what is that drive? Like, where does that come from for you?
I just always want to be better, and I always wanna do better and kinda prove myself wrong, you know? Like, we all have that internal thought. Maybe not all of us, but I do, where it's just like, "You can do better," or it's like, "No, you suck, you should quit." So it's kind of both, but just being like, "No, I got this, because this is what I have, and this is what I love, and I don't know what else I would be as passionate about doing every day," you know? So I love creating, and I love creating for other people, so I think it's just kind of my calling at this point in my life, and I'll do it for as long as I can.
And being on the other side of it, being someone who has been tattooed by you many times, that experience is so fascinating to me because you not only have to be an artist of a craft that is permanent on someone's skin. So there's high stakes, right? But you also have to elevate the experience and make it one that feels comfortable, because it's not the most pleasant thing to go through unless you enjoy pain like some of us. But that experience, you have to take such care in that process. So tell me what that feeling is like when you've done this amazing big piece on someone, they stand up, they look in the mirror, and you can see them light up, and you can see that like the tattoo that you've just done, your work now on this person, has changed how they feel about themselves.
It's everything, you know? It's not about me, and I was actually talking about this with a friend yesterday, and when they get up after the process is done and they look in the mirror and, like, they light up and they're just like, "Fuck yeah, love this." Like, you can see them, like, get taller and just, like, brighter, and, you know, that's that's what I want. Art is meant to be made for someone else and given to someone else, and I've always believed that. No art I've ever made has been for me. I think that's also, like, helps push me even more and more to create those experiences for people and, and just always have a good time with them. Like, I really enjoy their stories and what they're going through and, kind of being like their pseudo therapists in the moment or just like laughing together and you really get lost in that and be really present in that time and everything else that you're thinking about and worrying about, whatever it is, it's gone, so my clients make my day and you know, I love it.
One interesting thing, so like let's dive a little deeper into the tattooing process itself. There's so many different painterly processes that feel like go into it. So when you're in a tattoo and you're in the zone, what what is going through your mind as you're like, you know what I mean? Like going from pulling a line to something that's very delicate, and all of a sudden you're just shading the shape of it rather than lining it out. Like how are you quickly making those choices? Is it just like muscle memory for you at this point?
Probably at this point, I just kind of know what I have to do in that moment. Because I spent years like trying to really get the right depth and the right voltage and the right needle and all of it to make it how I want it to look. It becomes an extension of yourself. So
And I've also seen you do some stuff that's like, I mean, I know that, maybe there's a focus, right, on like florals or organic shapes from like plants and things like that. But I've also seen you do like glassware
Mhm.
on people, which is, gosh, that has to be extremely tough because you're dealing with like something that is transparent but has reflective surface. So you're having to like kind of recreate that, which I've seen you do, very well. But also things like Godzilla and all, city buildings that have a million windows that you've crosshatched onto someone. What what excites you most when you think about tattoo designs today? Like, what are the things you get excited about tattooing the most?
well, one, dogs, love them. Like I love hearing about them and just tattooing them and drawing them is always fun for me. Um, But anything unique or, like, kinda out of pocket, like, cause there was a while there where I'm just like, "I'm only gonna do this," like, "I'm not doing that, blah, blah, blah," and I don't know, I feel like that really stifled my creativity in ways, and now, like, I did this, Kermit the Frog on riding a horse, and it was so much fun, like, 'cause it's just so out of pocket in ways, and I'm just like, I wanna do more stuff like this, like, I wanna do more silly tattoos, but then it's also kinda hard to find someone who matches your silliness. Anything that's challenging, right? Like the Chicago skyline with hundreds of windows in it and, like, on a wrist line that's really small or something that will challenge me, and, like, I love a lot of detail, but I just enjoy doing it.
And then as an artist, where do you find inspiration?
I think for me, it's just, like, hanging out with other creatives, being around other people who enjoy seeing the world differently, So a lot of my friends are creatives and, you know, but being around other people just riffing, like how you and I kind of go back and forth, and how I have like 100 business ideas and stuff like that. So that always like puts me into a spot, but I create better when I'm safe and happy.
Hmm.
So being around like friends and community helps a lot.
What I've seen in the tattoo industry, only because you and I have talked deeply about it, is a lot of growth. So the tattoo industry is expanding very quickly, and I think most creative industries are expanding very quickly, and a lot of that has to do with job automation in other sectors is pushing people out of those sectors.
Mm-hmm.
And in a positive way, they're pursuing their creative passions for the first time. So someone who may have had those drawing skills their whole life, but has been an accountant, for 15 years, might be leaving that job to explore tattooing. Or there's a lot of young people who don't want to be, just working in a 9 to 5 in an office every day, and they want to explore a creative outlet. So they want to be a tattoo artist because there's good money to be made. And the industries that pay artists are where the creative people are going to go.
Correct. Yeah, yeah.
So
Graphic designers are,
probably jumping into tattooing
yeah, a lot are.
in droves.
Yeah.
And when you look at the market and you see that, does that feel like an exciting time for tattooing? Like seeing the industry grow and expand and more people are getting tattoos?
I love more and more people are getting into it, and it's become more accessible, and also more people are getting tattooed,
Hmm.
but there is, a market analysis that would say because of more tattooers, like it has kind of softened everyone's demand.
All creativity is a luxury good,
Correct. Yeah.
and tattoo in
100%.
particular. So every time the economy dips, or every time, I would say the past 2 years, for example, our business slowed down a little bit, but I think that's because every sector was hit by economic factors. So everyone's business bookings, from individual tattoo artists, I would say, all the way up to any corporate job. I mean, everything just dipped
Yeah.
by 20 to 30%.
Right. I don't know. Ride the wave, I guess. Like what else? Again, like
What else can you do?
Yeah. So in your downtime, we can work on other parts of your business, draw more, organize your portfolio, reach out to other people, collab with stuff. Like no matter what the economy does, like there's still people who want to get tattooed, and they still do. Like, and I've been doing it long enough where I have seen some dips, and like a lot of people are saying like this was like the worst one so far, whatever. But again, just keep going.
What do you love about tattooing?
I love everything about it. And I hate it so much too in ways, like
The struggle of an artist.
yeah, right? It's like just having a girlfriend that is like the best thing ever, but you're like, damn. I remember someone was telling me they're like, tattooing is gonna be your main girlfriend, It's someone that you can always rely on, and like this is your life, but you have to take care of it and respect it and love it and treat it, well.
Hmm.
There's just so many things about it. Again, like the history, the culture, like what it means to other people, what it can do for people. Man, it's good therapy. It's cathartic in so many ways, and
Definitely.
it has allowed me to meet so many amazing people, build a community within tattooing. It's my favorite thing in the world.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's one of the amazing aspects about it seems like, is you get to meet so many people that come from all over. Because I mean, you're one of those artists where people travel in to get tattooed by you. So you get the benefit of like actually meeting these people from all over, which is really cool. And of course, you attend a lot of tattoo conventions globally, so you're also traveling to go tattoo in other places, other countries, other states. That spending time with others is something that sometimes feels a little bit more rare. A lot of times people are just trapped at a desk or behind their device or behind a screen, so they don't get to spend a lot of time with other people, just socializing and collaborating. And I think that's a rare thing. And I think it's really cool in tattooing because in tattooing, I mean, you're collaborating about something that's like going to be on you forever. And of course, you and I have done some silly things together, like, the Snoopy here that is right next to like this beautiful representation of Venus and floral around her and stuff. So it's I think tattooing is just one of those rare things that is such a rad artistic experience. And you get this energy exchange with the artist that you just don't get anywhere else. And part of it is because they're stabbing you a million times and your adrenaline's pumping and it's like truth serum getting
It
tattooed.
is, yeah, 100%. Definitely, you know, hear a lot of things that maybe I shouldn't. you know,
Yeah.
we all just like I've been there before where I'm like, did I just say that? I said that out loud. That's great. But it also creates a space and, where I'm like, yeah, you can tell me this. There's no judgment here. And I get to meet some amazing humans of all walks of life where, their journey to where they are now and almost everyone I've ever tattooed has been just incredible.
Because you are such an amazing person, like you're such a good human being, is part of the reason, just take the
I won't.
compliment,
I can't.
is part of the reason that you have a lot of return clients, like doctors, I guess, would call this bedside manner. Maybe tattoo artists could call it the same thing.
Sure.
Your bedside manner is so good and you're so friendly. So I think that just from a recipient's perspective, right, or a client's perspective, it's one of the things that does make you want to come back and be tattooed by you because it's like fun. You make it like a fun process, and it can also be sometimes like a beautiful process, depending on what the tattoo is and what that conversation leads to. So yeah, it's a unique experience, and I've been tattooed by many other people as well. And it wasn't always like that.
Yeah.
Like it was not always a pleasant experience.
I think I learned that when I got hired at a shop in San Francisco, the owner, he was just like, I don't care what your tattoos look like. I care about your customer service and how you treat people that walk in the door. I think it helps because I know a lot of people are nervous and anxious before they get tattooed, and including myself.
Mm-hmm.
And so I can usually relax and just be like, you're good. We're gonna be fine. Like crack a dad joke and they're just like, oh yeah, she's an idiot. We're gonna be fine, but I do think like people come back because we do have a good time and we create, these bonds and like friendships, and it's the biggest appreciation that I could ever receive is like someone coming back or someone referring me to someone else being like, we had such a good time, it was more than just that. Like,
Mm-hmm.
so again, it's not about me.
Yeah. I'm always trying to put my finger on this, and I don't know necessarily that I have the answer to this yet. Um, but you've always been drawn to making art. Like if you zoom out and you look at your life as an artist, you've always been drawn to it since you were young. I'm the same way, and I wonder, what is it, or how would you define what compels you to want to create?
I think it's just getting it out. And by it, that can mean anything, just like
Hmm.
your thoughts and feelings, and just it's this desire that you have to release something.
Yeah, it does feel like some kind of purge. More specifically, like kind of switching gears, I guess let's dive into some technique. You said you've been using a particular set of tools now, or you've landed on a particular set of tools that have been most effective for you for the last like 5 years. How did you land on that set of tools?
I think just like, again, just trying to see what was working for me, what made sense in the moment, and try it all. Like, I love getting sample sets of different stuff and just trying it out and seeing how it works for me.
Hmm.
It's just like paintbrushes, like what brush works best for this application,
Yeah. Is it the same with inks? Like, how do you select your inks?
I just there's a few set brands that I trust. I like working with local tattooer made companies because I trust them, right? Because they're using the products themselves and they know how
Mm.
things work. So, and as far as like needle setup, just try it all. Everyone has their own technique and ways to do it. And there's like not any wrong way. And then at some point in your career, none of it's going to make sense to you. And then it starts kind of all over, I feel like.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that it's interesting that you say that or bring that up because I do think that every creative craft or professional does end up in this place somehow. It's like when something becomes muscle memory for you and you just do it and then all of a sudden you hit a flow state and maybe that lasts for years. And then one day you wake up and you really are like,
What's happening?
am I remembering how to do this correctly?
Yeah.
And sometimes I don't know if that's just your brain kind of kicking into gear in a sense of like you've done it so many times and it became such muscle memory for you that you almost forgot, or you trick yourself into thinking like, oh shit, I forgot how to do this.
I think it's almost like it's kind of like a phenomenon where it's like I feel like it's usually around the 5-year mark for a lot of people where they're like, I know what I'm doing, right? And then I don't know if it's like your ego comes into play. And then next thing you know, you're like, I have no idea, right? So I think this happens more so than we think, like in any field, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm sure a surgeon's like, that 5-year mark hits for them. They're like, I know what I'm doing. And then like the next year, they're like, holy fuck, what is this? So I don't know.
Yeah.
I feel like those moments happen, which is good because you go back to your basics. And I think if you always go back to your basics and know the fundamentals, like there's no wrong way about going forward with that. And it's always good to refresh your mind being like, oh yeah, it's like a golf swing is what I always like refer it to. It's like that perfect golf swing, right? And there's so many things that you have to do in order to hit the ball, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, but once you keep hitting the ball and you're good at it and you want to get better, you have to like go back to your basics.
How important is it for you to have a unique style in today's tattoo industry, or is it typically that you are making original work that people are just they're sort of drawn to you?
All artists want to have a style and be defined by it maybe and be like, oh, that's so and so, I know that, and that takes years and years and years to ever find or develop, if you're lucky that you can even do that. For tattooing though, like I'm still a little old school in a way of being like, you should know how to do a little bit of everything, just in case. And economic crisis, like when things are slow or whatnot, like someone wants to get this, you know how to do it. You know what I mean? I think it's important to develop a style, but I think it's also just as important not to get hung up on it if you can't find it right away.
Even if you don't know like your next artistic endeavor in tattooing, what are you hopeful for in your future of tattooing? Because you've kind of done it all at this point, like you've accomplished so many things throughout your career. How do you decide where to go next?
I don't know. I think like really honing into the art, because over the past couple of years, I feel like I was pulled in a lot of different directions. So I really just want to focus on my art and see where it takes me,
Well, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. That was fun.
Our executive producers are myself and Jessica Kramer. Our producer is Giselle Saucedo. Our editor is Max Smith. Music by Creators. I'm your host, Roger Peters. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Thanks for tuning in.